Hi, obviously I'm not an artist, but in this vlog I'm going to be displaying and discussing Space Marine Grav Vehicles. A Grav Vehicle is a Space Marine transport, skimmer or battle tank that is propelled by anti-gravity plates. The concept is that the plates generate a force that lifts the vehicle off the ground so it does not have to be burdened by the limitation of tracked and wheeled vehicles. This includes easily traversing uneven ground, rocky terrain, or viscous swampland. Grav vehicles in the 41st millennium seem to have been exclusively developed by Archmagos Belisarius Core, but prior to this, Space Marines did have access to similar powered vehicles. In the range of models, this can be easily identified by kit before and during 7th edition and everything during and after 8th edition, as along came the Primaris Space Marines and all new lore and equipment. Of the available Grav vehicles for Space Marine armies, I have the following: Land Speeder Tornado, Land Speeder Typhoon, Land Speeder Storm, Storm Speeder, Repulsor, Repulsor Executioner, and Impulsor. I will also be adding a Gladiator Reaper to the motor pool imminently. However, all these models can currently be categorized into 3 different stages of completion: fully completed but to a loader standard, aka needs a glow up, and only primed. So with the channel being currently dedicated to displaying and discussing fully completed models, I'll be making this a part 1 log and adding other parts as the other vehicles become completed. Let's take a look at the 3 fully completed Space Marine Grav vehicles. Starting with the Impulsor. An Impulsor is an open-top transport vehicle designed to taxi Primaris Space Marines into battle. I think it was originally designed to replace the Rhino or Razorback, but it has had a problem finding its niche. With a transport capacity of only 6, it shares this with the Razorback, but does not have its weapon options that can provide decent firepower, such as a twin heavy bolter, twin assault cannon, or twin las cannon. However, it does have an open top to shoot out of, and situational options such as specialist anti-aircraft shooting with a Skyhail stubber array or an invulnerable save with a shield dome. Simple Mephiston red base / prime, brown shade with lead belcher for metallics. Lenses were done using my Necron Gauss scheme of Warpstone green, moot green and Aerial yellow. I do have another Impulsor which is just primed, but in black, so it can belong to the Death Company. I have started to block in the metallics and freehanded some red X that represent the wounds of the Blood Angel's Primarch Sanguinius when he was murdered by Horus Lupercal. You can see a lot of this in the Death Company painting log, which has had a lot of views on this video. Thank you so much for checking it out. The next Grav vehicle is the mighty Repulsor. The Repulsor tank, like the Impulsor, seems to be created to replace pre-existing equipment, in this case the Land Raider. But as the Land Raider is awesome and iconic, it hasn't really stuck, and arguably it is better, especially in game, than it's ever been. Check out my Blood Angels Land Raider Redeemer video, painting log number 2 if you wish. Upon release, the Repulsor gathered a lot of criticism due to the slightly broken nature of the rules of 8th edition, specifically its fly ability. It also used to have an eye rolling amount of dice you rolled with it, as it has lots of guns. My one here being displayed currently has the following weapons: a turret mounted las talon, iron hail heavy stubber, onslaught gatling cannon, 2 crackstorm grenade launchers, and then a hull mounted twin las cannons, 2 fragstorm grenade launchers, and an Icarus rocket pod. Shooting with this vehicle goes something like this: 2 shots with the las talon, 4 shots with the stubber, 8 shots with the gatling cannon, 2 shots with the crackstorm, 2 shots with the twin las cannons, 2d6 shots with the fragstorm, and d3 with the rocket pod. That's a ton of dice with the different weapon profiles in 8th and 9th edition. It was an absolute chore. Thankfully, all the weapons with the exception of the main turret gun and main hull gun have been rolled into a 10-shot strength 10 profile called a defensive array, which is much better. As it is a potential replacement for the Land Raider, it has to have transport capacity, and in this case 10 Firstborn or Primaris Marines in Tacticus armour. But a standard Land Raider has 12, a Redeemer has 14, and a Crusader has a Cavernous 16. Feel like I'm kind of slagging it off, but I actually like it. It was my first big tank, and being as it's a ground vehicle, it doesn't have the issues with terrain like a tracked engine of war would. This one specifically came over 4 issues in Warhammer Conquest, which at the time was a fair saving, £36 over £50 RRP. Hilariously, one issue was just the base though, £9 for a base, bah! It also came in the softer blue polymer, which meant being extra careful to avoid creating deep gouges when cutting off the sprue or removing the mould lines. Upon completion of building, I did some reliquary to the hull using some bits from the Stormraven kit to add some uniqueness. However, I'm unhappy with the paint job of these. I'll probably revisit it at a later date. Last model here is the Repulsor's cousin, the Repulsor Executioner. This gives the base vehicle a choice of a more powerful main gun with either the heavy laser destroyer, as seen here for extra strength anti-armor shooting, or a macro plasma incinerator for high strength anti-infantry shooting. These better guns are at the cost of a reduced transport capacity of 6 and a slight increase of points on the board. This was an impulse buy when I accrued enough points in purchases from a local hobby shop in my area, and with limited stock at the time and an overwhelming desire to buy something, the Executioner was added to the motor pool. It was a more pleasant building experience due to the nature of the regular grey polymer which the majority of the kits are made from. I've also added some reliquary to the hull this time in the form of some repurposed angel wings. These are taken from the Ravenwing Bikers, where they were a type of spoiler or air fin. To cover the obvious clipped end, I took a small Blood Angel style plate and glued it in its place. To me, this looks good enough in the absence of some freehand work that is commonly found on the larger vehicles. It's a big canvas after all. Both Repulsor and Executioner come with a fair amount of greeblies in the forms of tools and storage, but neither tank is yet to receive them. This is because A, I'm lazy, I know when to call a model done and move on to something else, and B, they may find themselves used on a different project. All 3 models here have bases, which is fairly unusual for tanks, but does give the illusion of lift. However, I never add texture paint. This is because A, I'm lazy, I know when to call the model done and move on to something else, and B, texture paint is expensive, and C, you can't really see it. This brings the video to a close, but I will do a part 2 when the remaining Grav vehicles are completed, so watch this space. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm within 10 subscribers of 50, which would be great if you could help me reach this goal, and as I mentioned, upon reaching it, I'll make an extra video to commemorate, so please continue to like, comment and subscribe as I continue to chronicle the collecting, construction and creating.